following is a paid program. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WNBU and Interbanks Media. Welcome to All Things Money with David Blain, a thoughtful and revealing discussion of actionable ideas and effective strategies to help you through the complex world of investing, taxes, and real estate. Now, with All Things Money, here's David Blain.
What's next for the overcrowded job market? Fewer graduates. That's the headline that I picked off of Yahoo Finance. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking a little bit about family net worth dropping to the level not seen since the early 90s, and we're going to pick back up with our discussion of how the economy works. We got all that and more planned for today's show. All Things Money. I'm your host, David Blain. Thank you for joining us today on 94.1 FM WNBU and cable TV 10 in New Bern, North Carolina. We also welcome all our viewers and listeners streaming from the internet from our website, www.dlblain.com. We're happy to have you all. We also welcome your comments, questions about the show. Our phone number is 252-633-0107. Our email is allthingsmoney@dlblain.com. And the easiest thing to do, of course, if you forget all that, is just head on over to the website, dlblain.com. My initials DL and my last name Blain, BLAIN.com. Okay, we've been talking a lot about college and paying for college and encouraging people not to overspend on college. And this came out the other day. It talked about the supply side of the equation with the job market is there just aren't enough jobs going around. And the Wall Street Journal reported last weekend that the number of law schools are cutting the size of their incoming classes as the market for their grads continues to dry up. And these law schools don't really think it's going to bounce back. At least top-ranked programs including Northwestern University, George Washington University have announced plans to trim admissions. The University of California Law in San Francisco said it plans to enroll 20% less students. There's just a less interest in going to law school nationwide. Law school applications are down 14% in 2012, according to the LSAT people. A couple reasons for that. The incentives, the law field is overcrowded with lawyers. You've seen the law job market declining. Employment rate for law school fell to the lowest level since 1994 to 85.6%. Worse than that, only 65% of the law graduates found jobs that required bar membership. So what that means is only 85% of the graduates found employment soon after graduating from law school. And then if you look at the total number, only 65% found jobs that even required them to be a lawyer. So that means roughly 20% of the law school graduates went to work somewhere else. And so we see that if you went out and you paid, $120,000, $150,000 for that law school education, you see that 35% of those people aren't even working in law a lot, and some of them aren't even working at all. And this is just not law that this particular article focused on the law school, but it's across the board, college graduates, MBA programs, a reduction in number of MBA enrollees at the college level. And of course, the PhD enrollment has been declining for a number of years. Some of the big ones, Columbia, Harvard, Princeton, Northwestern, they're shrinking their humanities doctoral programs, which, in a way is good. We're seeing that people are the increase in math, science majors are up 94% since 2001. Biology and engineering jumped 51% and 21% respectively. But on the other hand, art majors are down 26% in that time. So what we're seeing is, in fact, very positive shift in the job market. People are realizing that, some of the humanities, while they have their place in society, to think that you can go to, spend $75,000, $100,000 and get an art history major and be able to pay that back, people are realizing that's just not going to cut it. And so we see the shift towards math, science, and engineering where a lot of the jobs are. There are a lot of these fields, math, science, and engineering, where every single graduate gets a job. I mean, there are just so many jobs, things like chemical engineers, petroleum engineers, advanced biologists, things like that. The people, there's practically 100% employment rate in those types of fields. So we see that happening. So once again, just make sure that if you're going to go to college, which we recommend, or your children, you're thinking about this, don't overpay for some degree that is not going to be worth it in the end. Just pay attention to what's going on in the trends, and don't overpay for it. Okay, another story we'll get to about, this was in the New York Times, that family net worth drops to a level of the early 90s, according to the Fed. The median American family in 2010 had no more wealth than in the early 1990s, erasing almost 2 decades of prosperity, according to the Federal Reserve. The hypothetical family richer than half of the nation's family and poorer than the other half had a net worth of $77,300 in 2010, compared to $126,400 in 2007. And of course, the crash in housing prices directly accounted for 3/4 of the loss. Median family income declined from $49,600 to $45,800. Now, talk about a couple things. Number one is, I don't know, my show was not on in 2007, but if it was, what I would have told you was your house is a place to live, it is not an investment. And people got this very confused. They thought their house was some great investment and that they couldn't lose with it. Big, big mistake. In fact, with our clients, sure, we put their house on there as a balance sheet item, but we kind of ignore it because it is a place to live. It's not an investment. And so people that have a large net worth and a lot of it tied up in their house, they're not wealthy by any stretch. And you can see the fickle nature of the housing market, that people saw this uninterrupted rise in housing for many, many years, but all financial assets have the ability to go down. So it's important to remember that your home is a place to live and not an investment. Anyway, so we see that a couple other trends that reported, and this is somewhat a catch-22, in that we see household debt declining, that declined by 2.1% over the past 3 years. About 75% of households still own something. We see that credit card debt declined 6.7% to percentage points, not percent, percentage points to 39.4%, and the median balance fell 16.1% to $2,600. So we do see the individual families are definitely delevering. Credit card debt, other types of debt, they're reducing. The catch-22 part is they're not spending the money that could be used to grow the economy. We're coming up on our first break. When we come back, we'll finish up about this family's net worth, and then we'll get into our continuing discussion of how the economy works. For All Things Money, I'm your host, David Blain. We'll be right back.